Running on this track was really difficult. We had the gravel and weeds, which created an uneven running surface, and I struggled with shin splints. I think our entire team struggled with shin splints.
You know, we're always looking at improvements, and one of the things that have haunted us for many years is the lack of a surface that our kids can run on, practice on, our community members can take pride in as far as walking on. All we have now is pretty much a gravel track that was, built by one of our local farmers.
Imbler is a small community in northeast Oregon, sitting in the Grand Ronde Valley, between the Blue Mountains to the west and the Eagle Cap Mountains to the east. Imbler is a small town with a population of around 300 people and an average household income of around $42,500. This is not a wealthy community, but it is a town centered around family values, accountability, and the school.
We excel in academics, and we also excel in athletics. One of the things that we do here is we make sure our kids graduate and get a great education, then go on to their second tier in life, whether it's college, whether it's trade school, or whether it's straight into the workforce.
With approximately 100 kids in enrollment, there were 45 track and field lettermen last spring, and the team had a grade point average of nearly 3.7. And for the last 20 years, the annual high school graduation rate has been at or near an incredible 100%.
We're proud of all our graduates. We're proud of all our current students. So we like to say we produce a pretty good product coming out of Imbler High School. Good students, great athletes, and overall great human beings.
All 4 years of high school, I qualified for the state track meet and medaled in all 4 years. I won state my senior year in the 100-meter dash and also set the Imbler High School long jump school record, which I'm really proud of, and set the 1A district record for long jump as well. After high school, I was fortunate enough to be recruited to run track in college for 2 years. It was a pretty stark difference coming from Imbler in our facility going to a full rubberized track facility.
I was honored to be voted the Oregon Girls Track Coach of the Year for OACA, and that was a great achievement considering that our kids, they're great athletes, but they don't have any facilities. We don't have a place to practice. We don't have a long jump pit. We don't have a high jump pit. We don't have a throw facility. We have a discus ring, but nothing else. And so for those kids to come in and be that successful without a facilities is amazing on their part.
I was riddled with injury going into my college career, and we needed to train at a higher level, which I hadn't experienced before. I think having my injuries from high school definitely hindered my future, and at a college level, which made me struggle at times.
The soft surface or the surface that gives away makes it harder to have good traction. And when you're slipping and sliding, you're using a lot of different muscles than what they're meant to do when you're running. So you're trying to posture and balance a lot more than you would on a hard surface. And so using those muscles in that manner slows you down, and it puts an undue stress onto the body a little bit more than a hard surface would.
It's hard to learn how to compete and run good race patterns if you're on a undersized or you're on a gravel facility versus running on a fast regulation size track. So there's a huge learning curve to competition. Doesn't matter what the sport. There's been a number of Imbler athletes, go on and compete, in various places and stuff. We get a lot of small school athletes in general, and the majority of them aren't coming from good facilities. And that's a challenge for us as well as for them. And with the Imbler athletes, I think that's maybe been a little bit more true than some of the others even. because they just haven't had anything for track and field. Gravel track does not really prepare you. Shin problems is one of the big issues. Depending on the quality of the dirt or gravel facility, ankle problems tend to be pretty common, rolled ankles and stuff. Knees, those are all areas that we've seen people have impact from poor facilities. But a lot of it, even beyond the physical impact of it, is the tactical part. I'll use one of my older brothers as a good example. He was a 400-meter runner, and he was used to running on gravel tracks. And when you get on a good surface track, he didn't know how to pace it, because it's such a different feel, it's such different mechanics. And that's part of the thing with the gravel tracks, is they change your mechanics, so there are other biomechanical injuries that are liable to come up with that, because you can't get in proper running mechanics as well. So the old dirt ones and cinder ones, those were a little different, but the gravel ones, those are just a different beast all by themselves.
Not only will I benefit from having a track, but so will the community. We can have people out there walking. We have a lot of older people that walk the town. You think about in the winter with the snow and with people driving, and you have those kids coming out of the school parking lot. They could be out there on the track walking. It'd be a lot safer for those people.
In nearby La Grande, Oregon, the track is well used by dozens of the local residents who are encouraged to exercise because they have a safe and modern place to walk a few miles every day. Whereas in Imbler, the people who do walk do so in the busy streets.
We're a small community, and to have something right here in town that people could do right here without having to go to La Grande for the athletic club or Elgin for the athletic club is well worth it. It's something we really need, and I think the community would use it.
I love playing on this field, but there's just something about night games that's different. I almost like playing sometimes at other places where there's lights. Just to play a 7 o'clock game is pretty cool. I'm out here when it's hot. It's definitely a cool experience, but I feel like it would have been cooler with some lights.
I was a student athlete at Imbler High School from 2006 to 2010. Football, I played running back, quarterback, and defensive back. Small school, 8-man school. At Imbler, your senior year, you had to give a speech. Mine was a persuasive speech on why we need football lights at the school. I think it's a huge deal. Just because, as a football player, the saying is Friday Night Lights, right? And so when you get to spend that day as a build-up, knowing that night it's on, it's such a special feeling and atmosphere for these small town guys that this is probably the one opportunity in a lot of guys' lifetime to be a part of something like that. When I was playing, I think the games were Friday at 2 o'clock, and luckily enough for me, my parents and my family worked for the school district, so it was easy for them to come out and get to the games. But I know I had teammates, who their parents would love to come to the games, but it's like, I can't take every Friday, off of work for an entire fall to come watch you play ball. So Friday night at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever time the games would be, I think the community support as a whole the turnout for games would drastically increase.
My dad's a farmer, and so he's working all when it's daylight, and it would definitely be easier for him to come out when it's nighttime, especially right coming out of the summer season when he's still doing harvest. It's hard for him to make some games, especially those 2 o'clock ones. So it's almost easier for him to make away games that are later at night, and so that would definitely be really nice for the future years to have.
The goal is to raise $1.2 million to pay for a new track and field facility, energy-efficient lights, and bleachers to modernize the public and sports facilities at the Imbler School District.
Small schools have lots of great athletes. They have the talent and skill to make it to any level, And if you are at a school that doesn't have the proper facilities, that just hinders them from meeting their full potential.
It's a unique opportunity to impact a high percentage of young people, not just in Imbler, but in this entire area, because there are very few facilities of the caliber that they're looking at building out there. So it's going to have kind of a disproportionate impact on the community that's here, because as you mentioned, there's a high percentage of the students out there that participate in the sport. But it'll also impact the other small schools in the area.
Imagine what we could be if we had a track. I just sit there and think about that. I mean, if we're this good without a track, imagine how we could be with a track.
It could help encourage existing students to go out for track and field. It will help other classes and PE classes to come here. I remember volleyball, they have us run out on the highway. Instead of doing that with all of the cars, we could come and run on the track.
I just know that we'd really appreciate it. I think we'd really benefit a lot from it, both our track team, our football team, and it would just be a better overall experience for our community members. And the night games and stuff, it'd be easier to come at nighttime and get supporters. And just a feeling as a player, it's my last year, and it would have been really nice to play under lights, and so I just hope, we can give that to some of our younger players here in the coming years.
Donations and grants should be made payable to the Imbler Education Foundation, a 501c3 certified charitable organization, and all donations and grants are tax deductible.